Good evening, everybody. Welcome to PatFacts. Tonight we're going to talk about awareness and how aware we are, kind of need to be, maybe we should be. If you saw my Instagram sort of promo earlier, I showed a little variation of being unaware and not really knowing what was going on. And we've been here in well over a year now, approaching 2 almost. Hey, Bonnie. And we've talked before about awareness, being self-aware, knowing what's going on in your body. If you've done my workouts, you know I'm big on body awareness, mind-body awareness and connection, and knowing what's going on and being aware of your body and how it moves through space and muscle activation. And that's all important. And we do really want to make sure we're practicing that, because it is a skill. It's a muscle. We practice it, we get better at it. And then, again, when it becomes a little more automatic, it becomes more of a habit for us. But I want to talk a little bit more tonight about kind of spatial awareness or environmental awareness, and not so much being environmentally friendly, although that is important, but just being aware of your environment, your surroundings, the area you're partaking, wherever you're kind of spending your time in that moment. We've said before, be where your feet are at, is a quote I've heard from Peter Twist. Be where your feet are at, and Todd Durkin. Be present, be where you are. Be mindful of what you're doing. And I say, hey, Alain, bonjour. Welcome to PatFacts. I've seen a lot lately of people just being unaware of where they are. They kind of know where they are, but they're not really immersed and aware of what's going on. Now, it could be something as kind of detrimental as being out in an amazing spot, maybe being out in nature, at a nice park, and just not really appreciating it and taking it in. And that's detrimental. We want to be able to immerse ourselves in that outdoors and that nature, because we get so much from that. It's a great recharge for us and a de-stressor. We can really be aware of our surroundings and take it in. But I've also seen a lot with person-to-person interaction, where I'll see a person and they don't really know where they are. They're not aware of what's going on. They're so caught up in life and in the busyness and in the problems or what's going on, they don't even know what's going on. And I really think we need to work on that. We've talked throughout this about coming out of the pandemic better than we went into it, so people don't know what's going on and what's happened to us. And I really think people who maybe were more aware during the pandemic have sort of lost that as things open back up and get back to normal. And we don't want that. We should be even more aware of what's going on, because a pandemic happened, and according to experts, will happen again, or some sort of event will happen again. So we should be even more aware of our surroundings and what's going on. With mental health issues and people not feeling their greatest and dealing with so much, again, we should be aware of our situations, our interactions with people. Be there with them, be present in the moment, be where your feet are at, so that they get your attention, they get the most out of you, but you get the most out of them as well. And both can really benefit from the situation. And as most of you know, when the pandemic started, because of gyms shutting down, I started working part-time in a grocery store. And I see it a lot there, where people just aren't aware of what's going on. People looking this way and just running into shelves or running into carts or running into other people, just because they're not aware of their surroundings. You can look at something and appreciate it, maybe stop and take it in if you need to, if it's something that really catches your eye. But just be aware of where you're going. Look around. Just like if you're driving your car, you wouldn't just stare at something and keep driving. You have to look back, because either you're going to veer off the road or you might hit something. So I see a lot of that, and I find that kind of confusing and a little, let's say, frustrating. I find it frustrating that people can't be present. And I'm by no means perfect at this, but it is something I'm trying to work on and be more aware of, my awareness and my presence. And I feel, again, like a lot of people are not. And then one example, there's been a few of them, but the one big example is I ran into someone at work a few weeks ago. And we're not super close now, but we used to spend a lot of time together. We were in the same circle of friends and did a lot of things together. And Bonnie and Alain, you may remember, I did mention this on the Wise Ones a few weeks ago when we were still on the air. But I've seen people I know in the store, people I used to teach or train, and even some friends as well. But I don't usually get to talk to them, or if I'm busy, I don't really want to stop and talk too much to take away from work. But I had someone come up the other day, again a few weeks ago, come up to my face to face, really within her physical distance, but came right up to me, asked me where something was in the store. I answered, and there was no acknowledgement of who I was. She didn't even know. And yes, I have my mask on, so I do have my face covered a little bit, but you can still see from here up, and I recognized her right away. And again, it's happened a few times where I ran into people and I've said hi to people, and they kind of go, "Oh, hey." And I know some of that's going to be maybe because they don't expect me to be there, because I have only been there over a year, and the last time we talked, I wasn't there. But I don't always expect to see them too. I just look and I'm aware of my surroundings and sort of what's going on. And to have someone who, again, we're not super close anymore, but we were for a while, come up to me and talk to me, interact with me, and not even realize it was me, just kind of reaffirmed that we need to work on our awareness, our situational, our environmental awareness, and be where we're at, be present in the moment. Yes, there's lots of things to do. There's a bunch of other things we have to get to after we're doing this task, but be present. We've talked about that before, being present in the moment to get the most out of this time. So then you go on to the next thing, you can be even more present there. In this example, you could say, you know what, I was really focused on Patrick at PatFacts tonight. It was a great episode as always. I'm sure you say that. But I was there, I was listening, I was attentful. I took that information, I put my notifications off and put my phone aside, and I was able to comment and interact with people in the chat and get lots out of it. Now, you know what? I could go back upstairs and do the dishes, because I gave myself that good quality time. And I didn't think about the dishes because I knew I was here. Now that I'm going to do the dishes, I can focus on getting these dishes done. And if your focus is there where it needs to be, if your awareness is where it needs to be, you'll be more productive. You'll get more things done with less time, because you're so focused and concentrating on what it is you're doing. If we're trying to do 6 things at once, we all think we're multitaskers, but the science, if you look it up, we're really not. We manage, we get by, we do what we can. But if we really focus and be aware of what it is we're doing and keep our focus there, we'll get that much more done, and we'll do a better job of it. So then it's easier to move on to the next thing. So I want us to really work on our environmental and our spatial awareness. Even today, coming home from work, on the way to pick up my daughter, I was leaving the parking lot, going around the back of the building, because that's kind of the way to get to where I needed to go. And a car in front of me stopped. They were a little bit ahead of me. I kind of came around the corner, but they had just stopped. And there was a big open area, kind of this way goes into the store, and this way was kind of the other side of the parking lot, kind of the street, the entryway. And they just stopped. No indicator, no hazard lights. They didn't pull off a little bit to be out of the way. They had just stopped there to check their phone or do something and go on. So yes, thankfully they did stop to work on their phone. They weren't doing it while they were driving, but they just stopped in the middle of the lane where I had to go. I had to go out around them, and there was lots of room they could have pulled over. Again, just being aware and alert of your surroundings and some of that courtesy and just thinking of others that we sometimes don't do enough of. Again, situation or environmental awareness, know what's going on. A little turn to the side, or even an indicator on, then I at least know, oh, okay, they've stopped. I can go out around them when it's safe to do so. And then I get to the parking lot where I need to be, and there's a delivery truck. Again, same thing, right in the middle of the lot, not off to the side. The lot's shaped like a P. There's lots of places he could have gone and pulled over or been out of the way, but he was just right in the middle. And then when I came back, he finally crept up a little bit. But again, spatial awareness, environmental awareness, knowing what's around you. So what I want to challenge you to do this weekend and the weeks upcoming is really work on your awareness. Again, we've kind of called it focus before, or being present. So being present is kind of being here and listening and hearing what I'm saying and taking it in and interacting, not thinking of other things. But I want you to think of your awareness, your environment, what's going on around you. Take a moment to be there. Now, again, if we're in a situation like this, where you're talking to someone, You want to give them your attention and be present. But occasionally maybe you scan around, or at least you're aware of things maybe before you start or as you're starting, take a quick glance and then be present with that person. Give them that attention that they deserve. The polite thing to do to, again, make the most of that conversation. But try to be aware of what's going on around you. And if you're out somewhere like a grocery store or out for, hey, Jasper, out for a walk, be aware of your environment, be aware of nature and the trees, be aware of the people coming around. A lot of us now are getting very good at giving each other our space. I know here in our neighborhood, if we're walking, everyone's very good at going out around to make sure everyone has their 6 feet of distance between each other, because we're not wearing masks outside walking. It's become kind of an automatic thing for people. It's become a habit. But we have to be aware of that stuff. We have to be aware of traffic. We have to be aware of where the sidewalks end. We have to be aware of where we're stepping. If we're off the sidewalk and on some grass or uneven ground, we have to be aware of things so we don't hurt ourselves, so we can keep each other safe, so we can make the most of our time. So I really want you to work on being aware of your surroundings and your environment. Slow down a little bit. Slow down a little bit. Put the phone away. Be aware, be present, be alert of what it is you're doing. Take things in. Know what it is you're doing and where you are. It shouldn't just be a blur to go and be away. The amount of people I see that get frustrated because there's a line at the grocery store. I started a year ago, April. There's always been a line. The lines have been there since the pandemic started. It shouldn't be a surprise for people. You have to be aware of your situation, aware of your surroundings, aware of what's going on in the environment. And maybe this is something that was just ingrained in me, again, from my time in Afghanistan, where we had to be alert and aware of what was going on. But I really feel it's a skill we should be practicing and working, because we owe it to ourselves and we owe it to those around us to be aware. Some of that kind of common courtesy we talk about sometimes, that can all stem from being aware of our situation and aware of our environments. So I really want you to think and be aware of where you are right now, where you are when you go to work tomorrow. Be aware of your workspace. Be aware of your office. Be aware of what happens on your commute. We repeat things so often they become second nature, and our awareness can kind of go down because we're so used to it. Keep that alertness up. Keeps your brain going, keeps you firing, keeps that, again, that mind-body awareness is going to come from that as well, because you're going to strengthen that muscle. You're going to strengthen that practice. And that's what we need to do. Like anything else, we need to practice it, to work at it, to get better at it, so it becomes second nature. Hey, Gary. And when our awareness becomes second nature, then we're so in tune with everybody. Then we're so in tune to our environment and our bodies that we get so much more of our interactions, whether it's with people, whether it's just, again, by ourselves, but maybe somewhere out in nature, by the sea, in a park. We want to be able to enjoy ourselves and take what we can from that situation to make the most of it. So let's really work on that awareness. So I'm just going to pop into the comments quick here. I hope you guys are doing good. Instagram again, Gary Jasper. Welcome. Thank you, Bonnie. Bonnie says, nice plug. You deserve it. I appreciate that. Thank you. I got to toot my own horn sometimes, they say. Alain says, we are trying to practice environmental awareness with the students at school this year. Awesome. We are 2,000 students and staff in the same school. Amazing. Some are way too much in their own zones, much like the Twilight Zone. Yes, so true, Alain. A lot of people are so, again, they're here. They're in their phones, they're in their devices, they're in their brains trying to think of the 16 things that they need to get done that day, that they're not where they are or not where they need to be. And they're in their own zones. And when we're in a community, we should be in a zone of community. We shouldn't really be in our own zones unless, again, it's a safety thing. But ideally, if you're in a setting like a school or at a work group, hopefully there's some community there. There's some involvement where you don't have to be in your own zone, again, unless the time dictates that. That's great, Alana, that you're trying to work on that with the students and even the staff, of being being there and being present. We all have lots on our minds. We all have lots on the go. We all need to figure things out, but it's important to be present and be aware of what's going on. Even for our safety, to know, like the example today of the two cars that just stopped in the middle of parking lots to do their thing. Had I not been paying attention or been in a rush, I could have ran into the cars and hurt them or hurt me. And again, something simple is pulling off to the side just a little bit, or even an indicator. Neither one put any lights on to say, hey, I'm parked here or I'm stopped. Just their brake lights because they had stopped. So the car was even in gear. So little things like that of thinking, what can I do? How can I be in this environment right now? What's going on around me? I don't know if you picked it up, but my when we started, my dehumidifier cut in. I had to be where I heard it cut in, and I tried to reach over and cut it off before things got too noisy during the broadcast. Hey, Catherine, welcome. So you have to be aware of our surroundings and what's going on. I set up some lights when I start. I created the background to have a little more of a character to the broadcast. We have to be aware of our surroundings and know what's going on so we can have better conversations, better interactions, and again, have better quality of life, that we can spend a better time with ourselves and with each other. So a few things I want you to try this week is try to shut off the phone or put the phone away when you're with someone. Even if you're not, maybe you're just out for a walk. If you can, put it away for a little bit. Even just a few minutes. Take some breaths, enjoy some fresh air, enjoy the sun while it's here before winter comes, and enjoy things around you. Leaves are changing colors. There's different animals around because there's migration starting. They're prepping for winter and things. Enjoy it. Admire it. Take it in a little bit. That's going to help you de-stress a little. That's going to help you forget about those 16 things for just a little minute. And that little minute can make a big difference in letting our mind refresh, letting our systems come down. So we're not in that red zone of a high level alert that we spend too much time in. We need to go in that when we need to, but then come out of it when things are safe. And you've heard us talk before about how we're in that too much. Just those little tiny breaks for a moment can help you come out of that zone. And that's going to let the body recover, the mind recover a little bit. And then you're going to go back to those 16 things, hopefully one at a time. But when you get into those, you're going to have a better perspective. You're going to have a fresher mind. You're going to feel a little better, a little more motivated maybe. You're going to hammer out a few of those things and have an even more productive day than you could have imagined. When you're talking with someone, be present, be with them. Phone away, eye contact as much as you can. Let them speak, hear what they're saying, and then give a reply if you need to. So often we get caught up in trying to reply and fix and help that we don't let them get their thought out. So many people I see say, hey, how are you? And before you can even say good, they're saying, oh, that's good. And they're walking away or they're on their way or whatever. It's just become part of a hello. If you don't really want to know how someone's doing, just say hello. But usually if you ask, then you kind of are showing some interest in that you want to know and you're waiting for that reply. And again, I see so many that don't. Or they go, oh, yeah. And you can see them walking into the next thing, or they change the subject right away as you're sort of mid telling them how you are or what's going on. So we get into these routines, these ruts, and we get into kind of the twilight zone, like Alain said, that we don't focus on those around us. And we do always say, take care of yourself first. You need to be your first priority, and that's still true. But again, part of that is being aware of what's around you. So you're safe, so you're effective, and so you have great relations with those that you're trying to work with and interact with. So try to put the phones away when you can, or turn the notifications off for a few moments. Again, be present, listen to people, actually listen to what they're saying. Try not to think too much about what you're going to say back, or again, those other things you need to do. Listen to them, think about what they're saying, eye contact as much as you can, so they know that they have your attention. And again, I mentioned Peter Twist and Todd Durkin quite a bit, mentors of mine. They are great. And if Gary's still here on Instagram, he'll attest to that as well. They're great they're in your eyes. When they're talking to you, you have their attention. They're focused on you. It's sometimes almost uncomfortable because they're so focused on you, but they want you to know that you have 100% of their attention. They're being present and aware of you. And that's what they do. You know they're listening to you and you have their attention. So let's do that for those that we interact with as well. And let's take some time again to get away from things. Let's get away from the phone, from the work for a few moments. Let's take breaks where we can. Let's schedule them in so that, again, we can build that muscle of being aware. It's not just going to happen. We have to practice it. Just like anything else we talk about here, it's going to take time, consistency, and some patience and practice. We need to build that up. So book some time in, book some breaks in between your chunks of work. Take 10 minutes to be away from things. Maybe do some breathing, maybe pop outside for a quick fresh air break. Or if you have time, maybe a little walk or something, or observe some nature. Or maybe you just turn away and look out a window for a few moments. Get up and go get some water, something. Again, just to get away. And then again, give yourself that chance to be aware and refresh. And then when you come back, you're more aware of what's going on and what you need to work on as you're going, because you've given yourself that time away. Bonnie says respect is key at times, not so much. You're right, Bonnie. Unfortunately, that respect isn't always there. And sometimes it's not. I don't think sometimes it's not always intentional to be disrespectful. It's just the way people get caught up in the loop of what it is they're doing. Unfortunately, some it is because it's a little more about them. But there's some who just get caught up in what's going on, and there's so many things they haven't practiced. They haven't used that muscle. And again, they don't think of it as being something they need to work on, but it is. It's one of those internal things that we should figure out and how to practice and get better at, just like any other skill. Elena says, never had a cell phone in my life. I call it living. Nice. I try to live every day. That's great, Alan. That's what we need to do. My time for me is outdoors. Yes, so good. So great to have that option. And that's what I like about being here in Barrie, where I'm located. We're a city, but it's a smaller city, and there's lots of nature. We have a great waterfront area right in the heart of our downtown core. There's lots of trails and parks and things that we're even still finding after living here for a while. So it's very easy sometimes to disconnect from that city life and get outside and have a bit of fresh air. Even just here in our kind of community, there's a park across the street for like a playground and an open field area. And there's woods in behind that park. For now, that may change in a few years, but for now it's there. So there's wild turkeys and animals going through there. And again, you get that atmosphere. You get out on the grass, you get out and get some fresh air. We were out there for about half an hour tonight before dinner, and it was just nice to kind of be away from things. And again, be aware, appreciate what was going on, see the leaves changing, feel the breeze blowing, and kind of notice what was going on, even just around the neighborhood, seeing some of the activity at different houses and on the road itself, different traffic, taking things in to kind of be aware of your surroundings. And I know that was, again, something they mentioned to us going to Afghanistan when I went over there, is to be aware, be alert. And they taught us things like how to look for mines if you're in a minefield, how to put on a gas mask and a hazmat suit, how a variety of different skills and kits that they gave us. The chances that we had to do any of that were slim to none, but they still wanted us to be prepared and be aware of our situation. So we didn't end up needing to use some of those skills and tools that they gave us, and be aware of the alarms that were going on. They said the alarms are going to go off quite a bit for certain things. You'll probably drown them out eventually. I tried really hard not to. I remember times where I would do something and react to it. And I had a friend of mine who was in the military, and she was like, oh, just relax, it's fine. And then the alarm went off, and I was more kind of alert and aware of it than she was. And she was the serving person who kind of had more responsibility to that than I would have. So again, maybe that's where it comes from for me, or just my practicing of my mind-body awareness, and it spills over more. And again, by no means do I have it nailed 100% of the time. I'm still working on it as well, but it is something that I am trying to work at and be better at. And I think a lot of us need to work on that as well. So we can be better at it, and we can be more aware and alert. We can live every day. Like Elena says, we want to live our lives, not someone else's all the time. So we want to be able to make sure that we're taking good care of ourselves and just being so alert of your surroundings. So like we said, try to tuck that phone away. Be present with a person if you're interacting with people, and try to work in the awareness time. Some of those breaks between projects, between chunks of work, put in breaks to get away from things so you can come back to it more aware, because it'll let yourself, again, let you come down a little bit out of that high alert zone, and then you can work back up into it. Sort of almost like that ladder. We spend all the time at the top of the ladder trying to get out almost, but we want to come down, spend time in the middle. So we're kind of in that optimal zone of where we perform. So find ways to phones off or away, get outside in nature, be alert, be aware of what's around you, take things in, maybe even take a notebook and journal about it, what you see. What did I see at the park today? What did I see at the baseball game today? What did I see going for that walk at lunchtime? What did I notice? Oh, the construction, they're doing more work to that new condo. It's bigger today. Oh, the cranes moved, or they're winding the roads here and there, or whatever it is. Be aware. Keep track of things. Try to maybe journal about them later in the day and be more aware, and that'll maybe kind of trigger that awareness in you. I've got to write about later what I saw today, so I better be more aware of what's going on. I love to hear from you in the comments here. Ways that you try to be aware. Like Alain said, he doesn't have a cell phone. He lives every day. He's very present in the moment. He's not distracted by those alerts and pings and notifications. So I'd love to hear from you today, or if you're watching this on recording. And again, if you're here with us next week, feel free to tune in and let us know what you're up to, how you've been improving your awareness, and how do you feel after you've worked on your awareness. And that's the key here. Is a lot of these skills, we get better at them by practicing them, but we really get good at them and appreciate them and understand why we're doing them maybe when we're aware how we feel as we get better at them. So as you practice your awareness, try to notice how you feel during and after and throughout as you get better at it. Because that's part of it too, when you realize how great it can make you feel, how maybe recharged you feel, or how more energetic you can be, or maybe how much of a more amazing conversation you have with people because you were aware of what was going on, or how maybe even easier it was to be polite and courteous to someone because you were more aware of your surroundings. You weren't so tunnel visioned in your twilight zone of what was going on. So it was easier for you to maybe move out of the way so someone could go by with their shopping cart. Something else I see a lot of too, people just here looking for their whatever, and then people are waiting to get by and they don't even notice. So trying to be aware of that interaction in your environments. So Lana here says, hey Lana, how you doing? Good to see you. Forest walks, watching for frogs, snakes, etc. Awesome. Yeah, so you get a little wildlife look in. For some people, that'll be to admire them and watch them interact. For some, that might be to avoid them because they're scared of them. Either way, awareness helps. That's great. And Lana also says, we listen to all sounds. For sure, there's so many sounds in the forest walk that you can take in. Sometimes even just no sound at all can be a great sound for us to take in and hear. But out in the forest, you're going to hear so many things. Or again, maybe you hear very little, but it's a nice break from all the sounds you hear all the time. So again, being alert visually and through your ears as well, listening, being alert to the sounds that are in your environment as well. Again, all the senses are kind of involved with this. We focus mostly visual, but all the senses are aware of or can work for your awareness. So keep that going. Thanks, Lana, for sharing that. Good to see you. Hope you and the family are doing well. Thanks, Bonnie. Have a great week as well. We'll see you next Wednesday. So again, that's my challenge for you guys, for all of us, is to be more aware, have more awareness, environmental and awareness, and just situational awareness as well. Be where your feet are at. Be present with those that are around you. Be present in your environment. Be aware of what's in. Listen for those sounds. Watch for those things. And write about it. Journal about it. Just keep track of it for a bit. Again, just to sort of entice yourself to be more aware, because you know we've got to write about it later on that day. Even in a meeting, if you're in a work meeting, be aware. How is the boss leading the meeting? How are the people responding to what's going on in the meeting? If you're leading the meeting, be aware of it. How are people? Are they slouched and uninterested? Are they on their phones? Do you need to put in a no phone rule or limit phones in a meeting? Do you need to remind people to shut ringers off so they can be present? Maybe this 45-minute meeting can be a 20-minute meeting because we're not going to get the same questions 3 times because no one was listening to your presentation or your meeting. Be alert. Be aware in those situations. Take things in, learn. That's how we learn about ourselves and each other. Maybe you learn something that works for a coworker. Maybe you're not getting results from somebody. Maybe you can see something that triggers them or works for them, or something that maybe distracts them and slows them down. And then you can improve that performance. And again, that relationship. So work hard on being alert. let's practice that skill. Let's build it in. Let's find some ways to build that awareness. Again, I'd love to hear from you different ways you're doing that, and again, how you feel after you started practicing your awareness. Again, come back to this video and comment, send me DMs. I love to hear from you. I can repost them and share them. Join us next Wednesday and throw it in the comments right away, and we'll be sure to get to it as well and keep moving things forward. So let's build that awareness. Let's have a wonderful week, everyone. Remember, keep ramping up that self-care. We've still got a long ways to go for all this to be through. So let's take control of our health, and let's be aware of our self-care and our health and our self-respect, and keep ourselves as healthy as we can to control what we can control as much as possible. And remember, always make yourself the priority you deserve to be by striving to be operationally fit. Stay safe, gang. Have a great night. We'll talk to you next week.